correct?
Yeah, or like a co-host.
Need to assign a co-host, I think.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Bu Dina atau Pak Cecep bisa mohon bantuannya untuk ke Pamela untuk menjadi presenter atau co-host.
Pak Cecep, Bu Dina, tolong itu Pamela, Miss Pamela, make her as a host or co-host, please. Pak Cecep, Bu Dina. I'm sorry, Adrian. I'm sorry, Pamela. Maybe
No worries, no worries.
Connection trouble. Bu Dina. Can you hear us, Bu Dina? Pak Cecep, Pak Cecep.
Bentar, Mbak Dina sedang. Hostnya Mbak Dina.
Pak Cecep bisa itu, co-host. Sampean jadikan Miss Pamela sama Adrian co-host juga.
Already, Pak.
Oh, ini dia, Bu Dina.
Oh, okay. I see.
I'm sorry because I am late.
No problem.
Okay, I'm able to share my screen now.
Okay, great.
Okay, everyone should be able to see my slides, right?
Yes.
Right, yes, we can.
Okay, so I will begin the session. All right, so before we go into the actual demo, so I'm not sure if everyone has kind of had an introduction to SciFinder and CAS, so I'll just share a couple of slides to give some background information. So if you're not already aware, CAS is one of the divisions under the American Chemical Society. And at CAS, what we do is to curate scientific content from the public domain. So primarily, most of our content are from peer-reviewed journals. And then we have the second largest source of content is actually from patents. Okay. So what we're gonna be learning today is SciFinder N. It's a completely new platform and also a completely different URL. So at the end, I will just kind of highlight the new URL so to make sure that you are going to the right place to access SciFinder N. So like SciFinder, the old version of SciFinder, we do cover a variety of scientific disciplines. And I think primarily everyone is from chemistry. So definitely SciFinder N is like the go-to database for you. But a lot of related fields can also benefit from SciFinder. Even people who are more in the biochemical or biomedical fields, or even the more engineering areas. Okay, so hopefully we can get encourage more people. Yeah.
Pam, I think someone requests to show a full screen because
okay, I'll give a try because I have multiple screens, so I'm not sure which screen you will actually see once I go into full screen.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's in full screen. Yeah.
Okay. All right. No problem. Okay. So as I was saying, SciFinder can actually benefit people from many different departments, not just chemistry. So hopefully we can also encourage more people to make full use of this database. Okay. So in SciFinder, and you actually be able to do different kinds of searches, right? Not only the keyword search. So keyword search will be very similar to a lot of other abstract databases where you will find references. But because in CAS, we actually do the full text indexing. So we have a team of scientists, CAS analysts, when they received full text documents, either the journals or the patents, they will do the indexing and extract out important information like any new chemical structures, or any new chemical reactions being reported. So all this information is indexed so that as a user, you are actually able to search for specific substances or search for a specific chemical transformation, which will then point you to the relevant literature. So later on in the demo, we will kind of focus on these 3 types of searches in SciFinder N. Okay, and just to highlight some of the key new capabilities that you will find in the SciFinder N platform compared to the previous platform. Of course, there are many other, enhancements, but I'll just highlight the kind of the 4 big ones. So firstly, pack and methods now is now fully integrated in SciFinder N. So you might have seen these 2 icons, right, when you were using the old version, but for the old platform, it actually requires a separate subscription in order for you to have access to it. But in SciFinder N, it's kind of part of the platform. And we have also introduced a retrosynthesis planner in SciFinder N. So this is only available in the new platform. And not only, we can do retrosynthesis planning, but it actually has the capabilities to do predictive retrosynthesis planning. So we'll have a look at this as well during the demo. And then the other kind of new feature we have in SciFinder N is the formulations filter, formulations purpose filter. So using SciFinder N, if you need to find information related to formulations, right? How do you formulate a drug? How do you formulate like, I don't know, a shampoo? We actually have a filter in SciFinder N that is specifically designed to find that kind of information. Okay, so this is the new URL, okay, scifinder-n.cas.org. Okay, so remember there's an additional -n in the new URL. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the browser so we can do the demo. Okay. So before you can start using SciFinder N, you need to have an existing SciFinder account. So for those who already have a SciFinder account, you can use the same username and password to log on to SciFinder N. For those who have no account yet, you will need to register. Okay, the registration link is typically found at the library website. And then register with your university email. So that's how we identify you as a student or staff from the university. And then you'll be able to use. You'll also need to be on campus network or easy proxy or VPN when you do the registration. However, I believe during this time for accessing the database, typically it's IP restricted, right? Either IP or by proxy. But during this time, we have lifted IP restrictions on the access. So you should be able to access this from home without having to be on the university network, okay? This is just a temporary kind of measure. We haven't heard anything about when they will, kind of reintroduce the IP restriction again. So for now, feel free to use it at home. But the registration part, to create an account, you will still need to be on the university IP, okay? All right, so let's begin a quick introduction to the platform. So there are still a lot of similarities in terms of the different types of searches you can do in SciFinder N: substances, reactions, references. You do have 2 additional options now, one of which is suppliers. So this is essentially if you're trying to find supplier information for any substance, you can now just put in the substance name or CAS registry number, run the search. It will immediately give you the list of suppliers. Okay, so it's a quick search to find supplier information. And then we have the other option, which is an all search. All search essentially means, we put in whatever that we want to search. We don't specify if we want it to be substance, reactions, or references. SciFinder will just run the search and try to find kind of answers in as many of these categories as possible. So for example, if I run a very simple search, right, on the name of a compound, okay? So if I use this, the name of the drug, remdesivir, the search, okay, so with something like remdesivir, you can see in this box that it has found remdesivir as a substance, and then reactions involving remdesivir either as a reactant or the final product, and then definitely references related to remdesivir, and then we have suppliers as well. Okay, so it's not. So it depends what you search. Sometimes you may get hits in all categories, sometimes only one. So it depends. So if I change it to something like the name of a natural product, okay. So you can see now in this case, we do find answers under substances, and we also get hits in references, but obviously this time we have no reactions, okay, and then no suppliers. So let me go back to the home page. So that's all search, but I typically like to do like the individual searches, because using the same topic. So now when I switch back to references and I type in what we've just searched, you notice now that there is this auto text suggestion. So this is quite helpful, right? So especially when I was typing out the search earlier on, I wasn't sure exactly, what was the spelling, but with the word suggestion now I can easily, check that I'll get the right spelling. Okay, so I'm going to run a reference search now on this topic, this natural product. So basically for each of these individual searches, you will be able to get the auto text, okay? Only for all search, it's not available. So let's run the search. Okay, the other key difference for SciFinder N and SciFinder is that the references now are sorted according to relevance as a default. So if I scroll down the list right now, you do see a lot of blue hit highlighting. Okay, so the highlighting would mean the words that basically match our search query. Okay, so this is something that's only available in SciFinder N, and with the relevance ranking, hopefully it will help you to find the necessary, the relevant references in a shorter period of time. Okay, definitely if you still wish to kind of view the references by publication year, you can still do it. Okay. So now we have 2020 paper. So now the relevancy, depending on the answers that you get, you may or may not see relevant answers. So maybe, for example, when I have a reference like this, at first glance, I don't see any hit highlighting. Okay, you might be thinking, right, is it not very relevant? So I'll just go in and double check. Okay, so actually it's listed in the concept. So it is still relevant. All right. Is there a question? By the way, if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to just stop me. Okay, so what we sometimes recommend users to do is that if you want to have the relevancy ranking, but yet look at more recent articles, right? We can keep the relevance, the sorting to relevance, but use the publication filter to maybe focus in on, for example, publications from the last 3 years. Okay, so that would be like a best of both worlds solution. So you still have everything displayed to you according to relevance, but then now we see the more recent articles compared to previously. Okay, so let me just go back to, yeah, all right. So So with each of these references, you'll see that, okay, so for example, if I look at this, we have the title abstract, and I talked about the indexing, right, of CAS analyst. So title and abstract and even the author keywords is something that is available probably in other database resources as well. But what is unique in SciFinder and is that we have this additional concepts that are listed. Okay, and these concepts are based on the research focus of the paper that we add these concepts, as well as substances. Okay, so if obviously in this case, it looks like they have maybe isolated two alkaloids from this natural product. Okay, and then we see structures of alkaloids under substances, and by looking at role, so we not only index the substance, we actually give information on what is the role of the substance in the paper. So you can see that there is purification, recovery, okay, and maybe they look at properties, and maybe it's in a biological study. Okay, and then you see, for example, for this, you see synthetic preparation. So before even going to the full text, you know that, okay, likely the paper has reported some synthetic preparation for this compound. Okay, and all of these substances here, you can click on the CAS registry number. So if any of it is of interest to you, you can always click on the CAS registry number. And this will bring us into the substance detail page. Okay, and from here, you may be able to find additional information on each of these compounds. And we'll talk about this in greater detail later on. The other thing that you can do with each substance kind of image that you see here is that you can actually click, okay, and then it will come with this pop-up box. And from the pop-up box, again, it allows you to, you know, run additional searches, whether is it reactions or even create a retrosynthesis plan. So we talked about the retrosynthesis planner in SciFinder N, right? So this is one of the ways that you can create a retrosynthesis plan from the pop-up box. And then you have the option to zoom in, zoom out structure. So especially if you have maybe big natural products, right? You can zoom in to have a closer look at the structure. You can even download the structure file in either as an image or as a structure file, okay? And if you want to do a structure search on this compound here, you can then click on edit structure. And this transfers the structure into a drawing editor. So you can use this to run a substructure search, similarity search, or you can make modifications and then run the structure search. Okay, so it's very convenient. And then of course, full text links, it's now just called full text, right? Different from in SciFinder Web where it's linked to other sources. So it's a lot clearer now, full text. And then of course, whether you can access the full text will depend on the university's subscription to each of these publishers. Okay, so go back. And then you can also, you know, now use the back and forward button on the browser to navigate within the SciFinder N platform. Okay, and then you can see for something like this, it has, you know, 38 substances indexed. Okay, so if I click on this, all right, they look at the antibacterial activity of essential oils from different parts of this plant. And if you looked at the concepts here, you actually see also we index the different parts of the plant, flower, flower bud, root, leaf, stem, right? So you know that in this paper, they have looked at all these different parts of the plant and all the different substances that they have identified or, you know, isolated from the plant. So if you have a situation where there are quite a few pages of compounds, not like before, right, where there was only 3, it's really easy to see. You can always click on this button here, and I'm going to open this in the new tab. So SciFinder N, you can support it supports multi-tab searching. So now I can choose to view all the substances more easily on one or two pages. Okay, and then I can see at a glance, how many of these have, commonly more common compounds, right? When they have more references, and which of these are maybe a little bit more unique, or which has lots of reactions, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that would be another option if you like to view all compounds at one glance. And then the other thing, if you notice, this particular reference here, it's actually a CA Plus and Medline reference. So in the old version of SciFinder, we used to do like a duplicate removal, right? Because CA Plus and Medline, we sometimes cover the same journals. But now what we have done in SciFinder N is, instead of removing Medline duplicates, we have actually merged these two references into one single reference record. And there is a lot of advantage in doing that, because while CS, we do our indexing, Medline obviously have their own medical subject headings. So they have their own kind of indexing policies and terms that they use, okay? So now it means that depending on, whatever is indexed here, there could be new concepts that are not captured here. So if we run the search, we now have an even higher chance of not missing anything, because now we have two sets of database index terms to help us find the relevant references. Okay, so whenever you see CA Plus and Medline, it means that we have merged the two records and kept the unique indexing from both databases. Okay, so I've talked a lot about like this concepts section, and actually this is a very useful way to help you not only narrow down references, but by looking at concept terms, it usually helps us to also get an overview or learn a little bit more about a research area. So if I were to go back to the main page, okay, we have created a concept filter now in SciFinder N. And this essentially consolidates all the concepts that we have for our entire answer set here. Okay, so we can at a glance see what are the commonly occurring concepts when we search for this topic. So if you have not already noticed, right, obviously essential oil, it's one of the common application for this plant. We see essential oils, and then we see essential oils coming up as one of the top occurring concepts. So if we start to scroll through this list, then we get to see what are other commonly occurring concepts, or what are some concepts that are related topics that people have kind of also explored or this year, Kubeba. Okay, so maybe if let's say, oh, this looks interesting, insect repellents. I didn't know this could be a possible application. I want to know more about this, and I can just select the filter and hit apply. Okay, so now we see here, we have a set of references, okay? And if we go into the title, right, the reason why this reference is being pulled back up, it's because of this insect repellent concept, okay? Okay, so let me just clear the filter here.
Pam, I think there's questions.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I think Mr. Muhammad Kenya asking, could the SciFinder N search reference for organometallic compounds?
Yes, yes, yeah, definitely can. Maybe I will talk about this later on when we go into the substance searching part. So you can definitely do a keyword search for organometallic compounds, where you type like the name of the metal ligand complex, right? But then you can also do it by structure. You can put in the structure of a metal ligand complex, and then SciFinder will be able to run the search. Okay, so I will demonstrate that later on when I move into substance searching. Okay. All right, so other than just kind of viewing through the list of concepts to help you learn more about a research area, give you new ideas, right, of how you might combine your research with some other related topics, you can also search for, you know, a specific concept. So for example, if I say, I just want to know what type of other oils that, you know, it can be used or researched, that are researched together with the essential oil from this plant, maybe I can just type oil. I don't even need to put in the full name, okay? And then I run the search, then it will pull back all the kind of concepts that contain oil in it, okay? As you can see, there's quite a lot. You can select more than one, or you can even, you know, choose select all. We go to next page, we can choose select all again. Okay, so that could also be an option. You can actually search for your own specific terms. Okay. And then instead of just using the concepts, if you have specific keywords, you can also do a search within results. So maybe I want to know how to do an extraction for, you know, to get the active components from this plant. Maybe I will put in the search term extraction. Okay, so now we have a smaller answer set, right? And then we can see the kind of additional hit highlighting for the new keyword that we have added in. All right, so it's found right at the bottom if you like to put in additional keywords to narrow down your initial answer set. All right, so search within results. And then the formulation purpose filter that I mentioned, so you should already see it here. Okay, so this essentially tells us which of the references in our answer set contain a formulation type of data. Okay, I can again click on view all, and depending on what is the area of application or what type of product that I'm interested to formulate, I can select the appropriate one. So maybe I'll choose cosmetics and personal care products. Okay, hit apply. All right, so with this 9 references, so let me show you, there will be an additional section. Okay, so maybe let me choose one that is in English. Okay, so this is a pattern, right? So as I mentioned, SciFinder covers patterns. So we have the pattern table, pattern family information with the references that you retrieved from formulations purpose filter. There is now this additional section. So it basically gives us a sneak preview of the type of formulation information that is reported in this pattern here. Okay, so this is not the full pattern, because you can see there could be additional components that are reported in the full text. But what it does is at least it points you to the references that would actually contain this information. So we can see here there is a link that asks you to link out to formulas, right? This is a separate platform which will allow you to view the full details. But you can still get this information because, you know, if you don't have access to formulas, you can still get this information from the full text pattern itself, because we have pattern pack, right? So maybe let me open this up just to also demonstrate pattern pack to you. So pattern pack has, there can be up to 3 different options. This is just a plain PDF. The viewer is the one that comes with a substance window on the left-hand side. So you can see here, depending on the number of substances, you may have to scroll up and down. So for this, with the substances in the window, right, we tell you which page you can find this pattern, this compound. So for example, if I click on page 17, then it will bring me to page 17 where perhaps this compound has been mentioned. Okay. Okay, so it's this compound over here. And then if we look at the formulation, let's just use this formulation as an example. It says example 14, composition 1. Okay, so you can see here that there are different examples. So they say example 14, so we can go down to example 14, composition 1. So the information here is probably taken from this table here. Okay, so composition 1, which is all the data here. Okay, so this is how you can use formulations purpose filter to help you find references with formulation information. And if it's a pattern, you can actually go to the full text to get the full details. All right, using our pattern pack feature. Okay, but my mouse is stuck. All right. Okay, pattern pack feature over here. All right. So let me go back out. So just the last few things before we move over into substances. So if you need to kind of export references, okay, we have a couple of different options. All right, and then of course, this is the .ris is the one to use if you're using any reference manager software. All right, you can also save the search. Okay, and the search will actually remember the filters that are applied. So you can save the search. And as you're saving, you will have the option to set up alerts. So it used to be called Keep Me Posted, right, in the old version of SciFinder. So now it's just as you're saving, you can choose to have a weekly, monthly, or as available alert. You can add text to your search. Okay, so if I select project C, which is an existing tag, okay, or you can add in a new tag. Oops. Okay, I'm just give it a name. So for example, I call it this. And you can choose to set an alert or not. So right now I'm saving the entire search. So I'll save it. And if you want to access it or find any saved searches or saved answers, go to this star icon. And you can see this is what we just saved, right? Together with the filters, you can rerun any of your saved searches. So some of the saved searches will have view saved. So these will be examples of searches that I have saved. I have saved specific results, okay, from that search. So therefore I have view saved, and also I can rerun the search. And if I wish, I can always choose to set up the alert after I save the search. Okay, so just by clicking on this. And you can organize your searches in using text, right, to help you. Maybe if you have different projects, you can add text. So I like to know what are all the searches I have saved for project A. So I just select project A, and then I have everything here under project A. Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question from I think Miss or Mr. Inda Wulandari.
Okay.
Yeah, he was asking whether how to log into SciFinder, whether to use university email or personal email for easy downloads. But already replied in the chat. So
okay.
yeah, so a university email is preferred to register as a new user. So if you are an existing user, then you can use your existing ID and password to log in. Then there's also another question from Mr. Muhammad Majan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was asking whether to search a topic, how to search a topic in SciFinder, because sometimes one paper may appear for several times in the answer set. So he wonder how.
You mean the same paper will appear several times?
Mr. Muhammad Majan, you want to explain on your questions? Because usually it will only appear once for a certain topic that you search.
Yeah, for SciFinder, if you use SciFinder N, it should only appear once. And now we've even merged the CA plus and NetLine references. So yeah, so you shouldn't see the same reference repeated in your answer set with SciFinder N.
Yeah, so he replied, one paper appeared several times. So
In SciFinder or in
is it in SciFinder or in other database? Yeah, SciFinder.
okay, it shouldn't happen. If it does, maybe you could send us an example. So give it a try again. It shouldn't happen. That could be a one-off thing, okay? Because because we have two sources of reference database in SciFinder, CA plus and NetLine. So in the old version of SciFinder, you may see duplicates because sometimes if you didn't set the auto duplicate removal or you didn't manually remove the duplicate, there's a tool in SciFinder, the old SciFinder, that allows you to remove the duplicates. You may come across duplicates, but it's also a maximum of 2 because we only have 2 sources, reference sources that we are searching in SciFinder. So now with SciFinder N, like what I've mentioned earlier, we actually, any duplicates from CA plus, right? So CA plus is the reference database that is built by CAS. NetLine is the reference database built by NLN, okay? So now we merge, if there are any duplicates, we actually merge them into one record. So you also shouldn't see, you shouldn't see duplicates in SciFinder N now without having to do any duplicate removal. Okay, so please give it a try, and it should be okay. If you do see duplicates, definitely please let us know because it shouldn't be happening. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Pam.
Okay, and then maybe just a last thing to mention. I won't demonstrate it in greater detail. Maybe in a future training we can go more into that. You can also now use Boolean operators in SciFinder N. So of course you can use natural English language like antivirals for COVID-19. Okay, COVID-19. You can also do antivirals and COVID-19. So all the references will contain antivirals as well as COVID-19. If you have, you can also use the OR operator. So maybe COVID-19 or 2019-NCOV, okay, something like that. Or okay. And then for example, for Litzia, Cubeba, okay, sometimes if you find that you are getting, or any keyword that you're searching, you find that you're getting answers where they are splitting up the 2 words, you can either use the AND operator, or if you want to be more specific, you can add in your double quotation. So in this way, all the references that you get back will have these 2 words next to each other. Okay, and then the other one that you can also use is, for example, I want to search for modifications. I'm interested in modifying, modifies, modified. I can actually use asterisk as well. Okay, so Boolean operators are now working in SciFinder N. We were not able to use them in the previous SciFinder. All right, so let's quickly move on into substances. So, so for substances, you can run a search using text or using structure. So since earlier on we had a question on, organometallic compounds, let's just use an example of organometallic because we've already seen the organic compounds in our reference search. So I'll just use a very simple organometallic compound, okay? So typically, I guess we won't really search by name unless it has a simple name like this, okay? So this would be an example of organometallic compounds that we index in SciFinder N. So this is a very simple one. Let me just, okay. zoom in. So you might feel like, okay, the structure looks a little bit weird, okay, a little bit different. So I'll go into that. Let me just add it into the structure. Okay, so if you were to draw an organometallic compound, it isn't really any different from drawing a regular organic compound. The only slightly tricky one is you have ligands like this, where it's sort of like a pi bonding into the metal center. So let me remove the charges first, because you don't actually need to even indicate your charges in SciFinder when you do a search for a transition metal ligand complex. Okay, so let me zoom in a little bit. So to kind of explain a little bit, if you have this sort of pi bond system, how do you draw the bonding to the metal center? Let me simplify this pi bond. Okay. So for example, if you only have just this one single pi bond, usually in chemistry, or the usual representation is to draw a bond from the middle, right? Then bonding it directly to the metal center. But this type of bond option is not available in SciFinder. So how you would draw this sort of bond is to basically connect every donor atom of your pi bond. So in this case, it's just this two. All right, and then from the donor atom, connect it directly to the metal center. And you can just use the normal bond and connect it this way. Okay, so with this sort of ring system, because the double bond is actually delocalized throughout the 5-membered ring, so you basically end up with a bond from every single atom on your ligand, right? Coordinating directly to the metal center. So there's no special way to draw a coordination bond. You just draw the bond like how you would a normal kind of covalent bond. Okay. So if your pi bond is not an LL group, okay, and I extend it by one more carbon. So for a LL ligand, right, this double bond will now be delocalized across these 3 atoms. So if you were to if you want to draw a coordination bond from an LL ligand to the metal center, you just need to now add an additional bond from this donor atom or this ligand atom to the metal center. Okay. And if you are kind of unsure where you should put the double bond, right, because it's essentially delocalized, you can always just change it to an unspecified bond. So in this way, either can be a single or a double bond. Similarly for the ligand down here. Okay. Can't get to it. Yeah. So you can actually just draw this if you want. So let's just run a search on this compound. Okay, and with a substance search, you notice that you don't actually have to mention, you don't have to specify, is it exact substructure or similarity, right? It has run all 3 searches for us automatically. Okay, so if you look at this, it will be exactly, you know, what we have drawn, right? We have this 5-membered ligand and then the LL group here. And if we go into the substructure option, then we can start seeing this is kind of ferrocene probably. Okay, or maybe it's a different metal center, but we'll start to see kind of the, you know, what we have drawn, right, in our structure query, the 3-membered, but because it's a substructure search, so you may get answers that have additional groups going off our structure query. Okay, so it can be bigger groups like this. All right, so this is a substructure search. All right, and if your ligand is just kind of a normal ligand, so maybe let me simplify this. If it's just, for example, like chloro, you know, you can just edit in this way. I'm not sure if this exists. All right, I'm just going to try and run the search. Okay, so I don't get any SNS drawn. All right, so this is maybe a good example to demonstrate another feature in in SciFinder. So this is especially when you're doing organometallic search, all right? So it's none available as drawn because I just made that compound up. So I get 0 results. And then if you look under substructure, we do see that we get hits, but maybe the bonding looks a little bit weird, right? Like the chlorals are so far away from the metal center. And we get funny things like this, okay? So that's because in SciFinder, when we do a structure search, it actually automatically searches tautomers and zwitterions, okay? So in this case, when I do the structure precision, we can see that under substructure search, they are all under tautomers and zwitterions. So that's why it all looks a little bit weird, okay? So maybe let me just use a simpler compound. Okay, I will use this. Okay, and now if I do a structure precision for, sorry, I should do it for the substructure. Okay, we actually see that there are conventional results and the tautomers and zwitterions. So the tautomers and zwitterions are the ones that are giving you sometimes the results that look a little bit off, that don't quite match the bonding that we are looking for. So if you don't wish to see those results, then just click on structure precision and then select conventional results. Okay, so that's just one thing to take note of when you are searching for metal ligand complexes. Okay, so maybe in the last 9 minutes or so, I'll quickly talk about reaction searching so I can show the retrosynthesis planner. So I'll just switch to reactions. So you can actually now do a reaction search by text. So I can say synthesis of, let's just use remdesivir again, okay? I could actually do that if I want. And it will give me all the reactions, okay? But let's take a look at searching by structure. So it's not any different from previously. You will still need to put in the reaction structure. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to use the CAS registry number to generate a structure. And if you have your structures already drawn in ChemDraw, you can actually save your ChemDraw structures as .mol file, okay? And you can import it. Okay, never mind, I will generate it again. Okay, so you can import .mol file, or you can, other than using a CAS registry number, you can convert your structure into smalls, a small string, and paste it in here to generate the structure as well. Okay, and then of course, then if you need to create your structure from scratch in SciFinder, you can do it with all the tools here. So you can just run the reaction search with just one structure here, but I usually like to just add in the reaction arrow so that it knows that I'm looking for the product, okay, synthesis of this compound. So when I click OK, just run the search. And then you also notice that this is where second way to create retrosynthesis plan. Okay, the previous one that we saw was, if you remember, any structure images, just click on it, then you have the option to create retrosynthesis plan. Second way is to do a reaction search by structure, and then you will also have the option to create the retrosynthesis plan. And you need to be under reactions mode. Okay, if I change it to substances, you get other options. And then of course, if it's references, we don't see anything at all. Okay, so remember it's reactions. I will create this. While it's running, I will go back. Okay, so I'm just letting it run in the background. I'll just talk about, oh, I've lost the structure. So let me just put it in. I will just talk about running it as a kind of a standard reaction search. All right, so if I don't want to do the retrosynthesis plan, I'll just hit search. And this would be the typical reaction search that how you would do in the old version of SciFinder. All right. Then the other big difference in reaction searching in SciFinder N is that the answers are now grouped according to scheme. Okay, so this means that, well, obviously there will be different starting materials that can get to this compound. So whenever the reactions that are grouped together in a same scheme, these 4 reactions, they are from different papers, but they use the same reactants to get to the final compound. And then of course, they may use different or maybe same reaction conditions, but they are from 4 separate references. Okay, so that's the meaning of a scheme. It will be the same starting material to give the product. So this saves us time in reviewing the reactions, right? Once we have identified the type of chemistry we want to do or the starting materials we want to use, then we just have to focus on the scheme to look at all the reported conditions. Okay, so the other thing that is new in SciFinder N, like I mentioned, is the methods now synthesis. So let me show it to you. Okay, so when we select methods now synthesis, we now see this additional experimental protocols link. So let me just click on it to show you. Okay, so methods now synthesis gives us the experimental details for this synthesis that is reported in the full text of this journal. Okay, so we have reformatted it in a very nice table. You can clearly see what are the products, reactants, what's the procedure, and even if there is any characterization data, we have also added into SciFinder N. So in this case, you don't actually need to go to the full text if you are only interested in synthesis information. Okay, so this is different from what we used to have in SciFinder, the old SciFinder. The old SciFinder experimental synthesis, it's called experimental procedure. So I'll just show it to you and you will probably find it familiar. Okay, I'm just going to click on this. So it is still useful information, right? Whatever we had in the old version of SciFinder. Okay, and then you will have some reactions that have both options. So this is actually a good example. So you can actually compare the 2 different formats. So it's the same information, but of course, this is kind of taken directly from the full text without any formatting. So it's 1 paragraph. Okay, so we have kind of put it in a nicer table to read. So this is not the only difference for methods now. The methods now synthesis coverage is also wider than experimental procedure. So now you will be able to get synthesis protocols from Elsevier, RSC, Wiley journals, whereas for the experimental procedure that was in the old version of SciFinder, it was limited to ACS, Taylor and Francis, and Springer journals. Okay, so you will have access to a wider range of experimental protocols now. All right, so let's take a look at how our retrosynthesis plan is doing. So I will go to the history folder. Okay. All right, so this is the retrosynthesis plan that I've just run and it's complete now. So I'm going to open this. So what this retrosynthesis planner does is to basically help us plan our synthesis. Okay. So, okay, let me see. All right, so it's actually a combination of experimental and predicted routes. All right, so what we have here is experimental route. Okay, so this is purple in color, so it means that it's experimental. Okay, so I can go into the steps folder, and this steps tab, right, will tell us if there are any alternatives, and then how much evidence is there for this synthesis that we've seen here. Okay, if we want to know, if we want to look at the so-called evidence, because it's an experimental step, so this will be the actual experimental reactions that people have reported. Okay, we can look at them. Or we can also look at alternatives if we feel like we don't, we want to use this chemistry. I can open up the alternatives. All right, and you can see that there's only one experimental, the rest are actually predicted. Okay, so I can take a look at what is predicted. Okay, so we can scroll through the chemistry and pick something. You can pick something that looks more interesting to you. And for the predicted step, there we also get to see the evidence. So basically, this would be the reactions in our reaction database that is used to support this type of transformation, or this chemistry rule, so to speak. Okay, so for a predicted step, it means that there isn't any actual publication in literature where someone used this plus this to give us this, but based on reactions done on similar compounds. Okay, this is a possible way that you could try. So if I select, for example, I select this step, okay, then it will replace our starting our initial route with the same, with the new predicted route. And then from here, it will then also change the chemistry from the B onwards. Okay, so you can see the steps here are also changed accordingly. And then of course, once we make changes to the route, the overall yield and price of the new route will be recalculated for you. Okay, so earlier on when we click on evidence, so it basically brings us to the reaction answer set. Okay, this would be the literature supported reactions, because earlier on we selected experimental pathway. So let me close this. So if I were to go to this and I say I want to look at the evidence, okay, so you'll probably see reactions where the starting materials, they can look quite different from what we see here. Okay, so I'm just going to switch over. So there's over 3,000, all right, it still looks relatively similar, I guess. Okay, this plus this, okay, not really. All right, so you can see that, this is the starting material, right? The project that we are working on. So no one has actually done this exact chemistry, but maybe similar, using similar starting materials, they have got to this type of product. Okay, so we can talk about this another time if there is interest to learn more. Okay, so obviously you can do other things like doing some customization. And then we also have like scoring to kind of change which is the best route for us. Okay, we can set our own customized scoring profiles. All right, so I think we have until 12, right? So I didn't want to run over, so that's why I've stopped here.
Yeah, I think the meeting is scheduled for 1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah, so the time now in Indonesia is 11 a.m. So
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
So,
probably.
Yeah. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I think there's one question from Mr. Kenya Ambari. So
Okay.
was asking whether we have any application platform on Android, iOS, or Mac OS, or only web platform. but I have replied to him that SciFinder is available to log in via web link URL, and then you need to create a new user ID and password if you are a new user, and then you can use your existing ID and password to log in via this new URL.
Yep.
Yeah. So we don't have an application on any Android or iOS platform for now. So just a web URL login. So so far, is there any other questions for Pamela with regards to how to navigate around SciFinder, or if you have any specific questions or searches that you require attention? I guess there's no questions.
Okay. I think maybe for a start, for those who are interested to use, because we did take a look at the number of IDs. So I believe not many people have a SciFinder ID yet. So maybe for a start, it will be for everyone who's interested to try out this platform. Do go ahead and register, create your own ID for yourself, because you do need a separate, so you can't use your university email to sign in to SciFinder, and you use the university email to register for a SciFinder ID, where you will create your own username and password, okay, which is separate from your university email. Okay, so hopefully that clears things up a little bit. So I'm not sure if is the registration link also posted on the library website.
I think I have sent all the information to the library, and the library staff should be post all the information for the user.
Okay.
But I think I will following up again with them to
Yeah.
as a reminder. Yes.
Yeah, and perhaps we can send the registration. So the registration URL should be the same. So with whatever URL that they used to have for the old platform to register for account, it should be the same. So perhaps we can send it to maybe the participants who are here at least. So it will help them to at least get them started to get an account first. And then once they, able to log in and have a try with the searches, maybe they'll have more questions, and we can definitely set up additional training later on.
Okay, there's a question from Mr. Kenya Abari again. So that he was asking whether there's a manual textbook for using new SciFinder. Not textbook, but we have quick guide references. So
yeah, and anyway, there's the help online, so you can see there's help here. And I think even when you go to okay, so you should be able to use this. So for example, like the Boolean operators that we talked about, we can even just like search Boolean. And then all the information about, how to use Boolean operators in SciFinder N is here. Yeah, and then of course there's the quick guide that Adrian mentioned. That will also be a starting point. Okay, but as and when you have any questions, you can go into the help section. And also we do have some recorded webinars, so I might as well point it out to you. So under, again, SciFinder N help, okay, go to about SciFinder N. You can see SciFinder N webinars. So we have recently run a series of webinars on different topics. So you can see substance searching, reaction searching, reference searching, retrosynthesis. Okay, so you can click on these webinars to watch them as well.
Yeah, I have also typed in the web link for the trainings for SciFinder N. So it includes some videos and also some guides from this link. So if you need any help, just go over here to take a look on any relevant topics.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, maybe I will show my email address. Let me see if I. Okay, it's here. Okay, so if you have any questions while using the database, just feel free to drop me an email, or you need help to find certain types of information, just let me know and be happy to help you out.
Okay. Any other question from chemistry department? Pak Dwi Arso, sudah ada pertanyaan lagi, Bapak? Atau Bu Dina?
Ini saya sedang ngetik tapi jawab bisa langsung aja Mbak. Gini Mbak Eva, mohon ditanyakan untuk menu retrosintesis itu apakah ada relasinya dengan ya semacam apa itu semacam retrosintesis komputasional retrosintesis itu yang model-model kayak komputasi itu enggak? Ini pemberian ininya apa namanya findingnya itu loh. Maksud saya kan sudah ada semacam software retrosintesis. Nah ini nanti korelasinya ke sana nggak? Ada nggak ke sana? Untuk yang tadi menu retrosintesis tadi. Saya mau ngetek ini belum selesai tapi udah diberikan kesempatan bertanya.
Iya. Oke. Saya juga kurang paham Pak kalau untuk sangat spesifik chemistry-nya. Tapi intinya apakah ada korelasi retrosintesis
the retrosinthesis suggestion from SciFinder can be related to another, I mean, maybe like LASHA or some retrosynthetic software like that, maybe.
I mean, can it be linked?
Maybe Pak Dwiarso is asking about any related reference if about retrosynthesis in SciFinder, if the user would like to have another reference if they're searching about retrosynthesis.
So you mean like
LASA maybe. I mean, like software for retrosynthesis.
Or other software for retrosynthesis.
Yeah. I mean, if I search some retrosynthetic pathway like this, like what you guys have example, is there we can derive to another path more detailed maybe, such as from another retrosynthetic computational method.
Okay.
I mean, like WOTK, WA, like in the textbook. LASA maybe, WOTK maybe. I mean, more detail, like we have what is it? The fragmentation from this retrosynthetic method, Shimpton, like that. The detail, maybe the detail of the.
Okay. I would think the answer is no. So you're thinking like maybe if you can. Okay, maybe I should just say for the retrosynthesis here. So it's powered by Chem Planner. So we have the technology, our own technology to create the retrosynthesis pathways, to do the predictions. So what we offer as an output, it will be just the pathway that you see here. okay? And then linking you to the relevant literature that supports this pathway. So it doesn't give you maybe you're thinking of like the raw data or something.
Yeah.
No,
No.
not that kind of information. So in the background, we have
only the what is the main compound maybe, yeah. For the retro.
Yeah.
Not
So
symptom.
No, not the syntons and all that. So obviously this the rules that were used to create this pathway, like you say, they created their rules with syntons and all that. But we don't you can't export.
So only get the information of the main reactant maybe, yeah.
You just get the reaction, the output that has been produced by the syntons. Yeah, yeah. So
okay.
yeah.
I can understand it.
Okay.
Thank you. Ya, cukup Mbak Eva saya.
Baik, Bapak. Ada pertanyaan lagi, Bapak Ibu? Kalau tidak ada, bisa kita sudahi. Oke. Bu Dina, ada yang mau disampaikan?
Sudah cukup, Bu Eva.
Baik, oke. Yes, thank you Pamela and Adran for today's socialization and training for SciFinder N. Hopefully later on, I will distribute to all the participants today about the user guide and any other information requirement for access the new SciFinder N. I think the trial access will be until 30 September, right? And the renewal will, and later on for the renewal, they will migrate to the SciFinder N for the next future. So the current SciFinder still can be used, but later on, slowly we can, UII will migrate to SciFinder N, thing like that. So yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, so from today onwards, everyone can start using the new SciFinder N because it has an improved interface and is much easier to use as compared to the current SciFinder that you all have it. So there's also new features like what Pamela has shown you all. So if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to Pamela or myself, and you can refer to the guide, which I think if I'm going to send you all. And also you can refer to this training link, which I've typed in the chat box. And then, yeah, after the renewal conversion, both platforms will run at the same time. So SciFinder N and SciFinder both will run at the same time. So we'll probably run this for the next 3 to 6 months. So when everyone migrated smoothly to the new platform, then we will switch off the old ones. Okay. So I hope with this on board, more people can start using SciFinder and then realize to utilize these features and database which is available in SciFinder to help in their projects, in your research, in your anything. Yeah, probably you can even integrate this into your lectures. If you need some help, I think Pamela can help you with that. Yeah, so I think it will be very interesting for the students.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela and Adran.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chemistry department.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Stay
Good day.
safe. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.